This is a call just to keep you fired up because it's not time for soft and mellow words. We listen to your program, we listen to Alex Jones, and we are very pleased with the way that you are really taking care of giving the language to what is really happening here. I would like to make you a simple comment to what you were talking yesterday. Do you copy me?
Yeah, I totally got you.
Thank you very much. One of the reasons of this call is that yesterday you were addressing the last Supreme Court decision in a very keen way. One thing more that we have to also consider is that this decision officialized torture in a police prison.
That's right. That's a great point. Here's the deal. There's a lot of Orwellian doublespeak. They say, oh, it's only in certain situations, and this didn't really overrule the 1963 decision where you can ask for a lawyer and you're going to get one. But then
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But then in the very first paragraph, they say, well, in certain situations, you can request a lawyer, and they're just going to hold you, and they can interrogate you. So, they're making it very Jack Bauer, very 24. They're like, well, this girl is somewhere, and he knows where he is. When is it going to end? And I agree with you. It really has given the police way more torture powers. They've been doing, listen, I'll say this, they've done it before. It's not like they're free of doing this anyway, but now they'll just say, hey, this was a special circumstance, and they did the right thing.
Yeah, but here, Brother Bermas, this is the other piece in our domestic version of the Military Commission Act, because we don't have habeas corpus, and now we don't have the right to a lawyer as our witness during our detention waiting for a supposed to be due process.
It's outrageous. And let's talk about the Military Commissions Act. I thank you for the call, Solomon. In 2004 when this passed, check out Ray McGovern in Loose Change Final Cut. He really breaks it down. And actually, I believe, I think I put him on the extras of Fabled Enemies, his entire interview, so you can see that. But he really talks about habeas corpus, and I am the body, and I have the right to address my accuser. And this was predating the Constitution and Bill of Rights. This is Magna Carta days, folks. Let me repeat that. Magna Carta. That's not a new hip-hop band. Magna Carta days. Go check it out. It predates the Bill of Rights and Constitution. All right, Ryan in New Hampshire, you're on the line.
Good evening, Jason. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm in better spirits than yesterday, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you sound like you're doing a little bit better. I wanted to bring up, it's a little bit off topic, but I read a lot of his books. I wanted to bring up a book that I was reading by Hunter S. Thompson.
Cool.
It's called The Great Shark Hunt, and right in the beginning of the book, I wanted to read a quote from it. It was during the Nixon administration. He has a final solution to almost all our problems. He calls it, but it was more of, from Nixon's perspective, what he could do to solve all of his problems at the time. But when you look into Hunter S. Thompson's career, he has a weird way of predicting geopolitical events before they happen. But every time in his book, he doesn't necessarily say that they are a prediction that he's making. He just makes it sort of part of the book, but it always ends up happening. So that's the reason why I took to it. But the one part of the solution, I wanted to read the quote. It says that a long-term treaty with Russia, arranged by Henry Kissinger, securing Moscow's support of an American invasion, seizure, and terminal occupation of all oil-producing countries in the Middle East. This would not only solve the quote-unquote energy crisis and end unemployment immediately by pressing all idle and able-bodied males into service for the invasion/occupation forces, but it would also crank up the economy to a wartime level and give the federal government unlimited quote-unquote emergency powers. And it's cool to see this happen because this was actually written during the Nixon administration.
Well, I don't think it's cool to see it happen, but I think it's cool
it's interesting to make the connection. Right. It's interesting to make that connection.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's talk a little Hunter S. Thompson, all right? I went and saw the documentary on him, Gonzo, actually with Alex Jones and others last summer. And, I appreciate the guy. He's obviously in the beginning of Loose Change and Loose Change Second Edition. You know what I mean? He's, we have that quote, he knew something was wrong with 9/11 right away. And that is very interesting, whether or not he killed himself. A lot of people say we're in the house. The guy talked about killing himself all the time, had a gun in possession, seemed like he had a death wish as well, and was getting pretty old. I really wish that if he did kill himself, that he had stuck it out, because we could have really used a voice like his. Now, on the other side, he did like being around the elite. He liked going to these political events. there are, I don't know if you're familiar with the Franklin cover-up, but there is a chapter in there, and if it's true, I'm pretty disturbed with Mr. Thompson.
Oh,
so, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
right. And there's also, in one of his newest books, it's called Better Than Sex, about politics, and he actually has like a weird part where he's telling a story about being at a bar with James Carter and no, not James Carter.
James Carville?
Yeah, James Carville and George Stephanopoulos.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he was sitting at the bar, and he went to grab his wallet, and his wallet was missing. And he turned around, and one of the guys he was with had stolen his wallet, and he was like, "Hey, why are you stealing my wallet?" Blah, blah, blah. And then he says that George Stephanopoulos actually put him in a headlock and said, "This is the New World Order." And then he just ends the chapter where he just sits down at the bar and finishes a drink and then leaves. And then
Get out of here. He says that?
Yeah, it's
what book is
Better Than Sex?
I'm going to have to check it out. Hey, Ryan, great caller.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
very interesting, brother. Kendall in Texas, you're on the line. Kendall, what's up?
Jason, what's up, man?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I was just calling in response to what that dude was saying about, like, Sheikh Mohammed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the hardest messages to try to convey about the New World Order is that it's not a giant talking. Because you said something about a middleman, and that's one of the hardest things to convey is that it's not a big giant head. It's a sophisticated, interconnected group. Compartmentalized is a term that we really need to use because, all right, let's talk about we were talking about that Jesse Ventura clip yesterday, right? And that guy arguing with Jesse Ventura brings up, Daniel Pearl's murder. Now, who murdered Daniel Pearl by the mainstream media standards? Well, it's Omar Saeed Sheikh. Now, this is the guy that facilitated the $100,000 wire transfer to Muhammad Atta through the chief of the ISI, Mahmoud Ahmed. And then you find out that this guy is an ISI asset agent, and he looks like he's been working with Western intelligence as well. And they behead this guy. So right off the bat, that guy's argument is nothing. I wish that Jesse had known that intricacy so he could have brought that up because the guy's a jackass. And people just don't want to own up to what's really going on in the world. It's very unfortunate that people want to suck their thumbs and act like babies and not really try to inform themselves, enlighten themselves, ask big questions, say, you know what, let's have a trial. Let's see if he's responsible. Hold over. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv, and my little blog, theinfowarrior.com.